Hello, beautiful family. Thank you for returning to the Home Sweet Home series or joining, whichever stage you're at. You're all welcome. So, today for this segment is about home birth, and birth itself is such a beautiful passage, and there's so many different ways of doing it. And it's just figuring out which type of birth and what birth looks like for you, and what patterns or thoughts have you accepted of what other people have imprinted on you. So for me, I had two very different, beautiful births and different birthing partners. So it was all very different and beautiful and accepting, because then there was more people in the second birth than there was the first birth, right? So there is, so the way I, so there is, okay, so many thoughts. Let's just take a deep breath. And I'm so passionate about this that it's just like, because it's so empowering that there's all these different choices. So I have seen that at hospitals they don't have pamphlets for home birth. I have experienced people placing their own fears on me regarding home birth. So with Aragon, I didn't tell anyone till like 7.5 months that we were pregnant, or like after that as well. And we didn't tell anyone till way later. It was just like the close, like people that were around us, not people overseas, etc. And that's a whole different story. But the point that I'm saying is, if you're making a decision of home birth, there is so much negative connotation that sometimes it's good not to tell many people. So I told my family about home birth, and then as I progressed along, I had this feeling that, so there's people called doulas, which are amazing, that can advocate for you in hospitals if you want to do hospital birth, and they can also advocate for you outside of the hospital, etc. There's also midwives, and there's also midwives that are also doula. So depending on how many births they've attended, how much knowledge, etc., there's all different levels. And so it's finding out what you're comfortable with, who you want in that room and space, etc. For me, as I kept researching and etc., I felt like I didn't want anyone there apart from the person I co-created with for my first birth. I was just very clear on it. I was like, because when it's like, so when it's for me, when it was by myself, I know my energy, I know what I'm feeling, I know what I'm flowing. You bring in someone else in that dynamic, it's like dancing around with that. Now you bring in someone else, and like, for me, it's as in like, there were factors in the sense of we moved from Adelaide to Sydney at 9 months, right? So it was like having to form a relationship with someone really quickly, etc., was going to be interesting. And yeah, like there's amazing doulas out there, there's amazing midwives that just make you feel like home, etc. And so, okay, so basically, what are you comfortable with? And what is your partner, if you have a partner, birthing partner, your hubby, your wife, whoever it is that's with you, what are they comfortable with? And then it's figuring out how you can both be happy in that space that doesn't compromise how you want your birthing experience. So for me, what helped with Aragon is that we went for hypnobirthing, and that was the best decision we made, because before we went there, Joshua was not too certain if we should do the birth without a doula or midwife. He was still like, oh, we should probably find someone just in case, etc. And then after the hypnobirthing course, I'm not saying this is going to happen to everyone. This is just what happened in our case. After that, it's like, cool, women have been birthing for 5,000 years, like, well, I don't know if that's the number you said, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. So it's like, cool, your body knows what to do, knows how to do it, etc. It's all good. And I was like, yeah, like the body knows how to conceive, how to maintain, and if your body's unhealthy, how to, well, basically, like then later going through miscarriages and stuff, it's like your body knows how to do that too. And it's all beautiful about acceptance that, hey, your body wasn't ready, baby wasn't ready, whatever it was. Like, if we appreciate the time that we did have, it changes the script, right? Because then it's not like, oh, I'm losing out. It's like, no, I'm so grateful for that time that I had with that being. And obviously, it was too, at that time when the miscarriages happened, it was too stressful for me. And I'm so very grateful that it didn't happen at that time, because the baby would be marinating in a very stressful situation. And so I am very grateful that it didn't happen when it did. And so it's all acceptance. And I found that I had reached that space when Ishwa was born, and he was like lightish blue with the cord around his neck. And then after Josh uncorded him, and like I sat down, placed him near my chest and just looked at him, it was just this absolute space of like gratitude, like thank you for letting me carry you for all these months, etc., and thank you for letting me hear your kicks and being part of your life, etc. And I was just in gratitude and acceptance. And then minutes later, like he opened his eyes, etc., and it was just wonderful, right? Like even after Aragon was born, I was still in that fear phase of like he could still die at any moment. And now it's like, it's not a fear phase, it's reality. The minute that anything's conceived, it can die at any time. So for me, what helped me, I feel, go through my home birth by myself, as in just with my birthing partner. So it's called free birthing, basically, from my understanding. And so once I accepted death, I was not scared of whether I would die in the birth, whether the baby would die, whether we both would die. It didn't matter, because death is part of the natural process. That's just my thinking of it. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong, and there's no right or wrong. I'm just saying that's where I got this feeling of freedom to then birth the way I wanted and to do what I wanted, because I was like, hey, like death is always constantly around the corner, right? Like, and we hold on to life so strongly and trying to maintain it, right? But it's like, we're all going to die sooner or later. And that journey of acceptance, like for the first, I feel like it was more than a few days with Aragon, just that like, oh my God, I can't believe it's here. It's actually here. Like, my goodness, I just birthed it. It's like beautiful. Well, we birthed it. Like, he came out kicking like beautifully. And so it was just amazing to like, wow. Like, I was just so in awe, but I still was like, well, death is just there. Death is just there. It could still pass away. It could still pass away. And there's a lot of other, like, things happening, like culturally and socially and stuff. However, my main thing that I didn't want to tell everyone when he was right born, because it's like, I thought I was going to die. And I was so in shock that I had this beautiful, gorgeous, like he would just sleep like this, and like Isha also sleeps like that, like arms all open, and like, Isha also sleeps with legs wide open, just like, oh, welcome to the world, right? And I'm just amazed. And so the other thing I remember my mom telling me when I was around 8 was about lotus birthing. I didn't know that was the term for it, but she did mention how, the baby and the placenta together till it all comes out by itself. So the research shows that delayed cord clamping is really good, because the babies that have been, like, if you cut the cord too quickly, all the blood from the placenta, etc., that flows back, has not completely been received to the baby. So anemic and all that are issues that can happen. So after those studies, many hospitals, midwives, doulas, home births, etc., have then done delayed cord clamping. For me, lotus birth was just something that as I researched and stuff, really wanted to do. And for Aragon, it came out at around 7 days. And it was really beautiful, because you start off with this like big white tube, right? And then it goes shrinks and shrinks to this like thin cord, and it's just keeping the placenta clean with like salt. So as you're like, you're bathing the placenta basically with salt and herbs, etc. And then with so we were in winter with Aragon's time, and then with Ishwa we were in subtropics. So his in 3 days was like, it had just like shrunk, right? Like it was so hot that we had to basically, like, I had to then, the beautiful thing about then birthing with Ishwa was with Josh saying like, oh, there's Ishi. So yeah, with his birth was like Josh saying like, don't be too stuck in your mind of how things should be, right? So that helped me with the cutting his cord at 3 days instead of then waiting till the cord came out by itself, because basically the flies were being attracted to the smell of it and everything, and it was just not healthy. So I just made that decision. I said, hey Josh, let's just cut it. And cut it, because it was funny because he had already cut his other kids' cords, right? So for me it was the first cord I had actually cut. So I don't know, it's just crazy. Like, it's just insane to like cut it. It was just a different feeling, right? Like yeah. And then there is also cord burning and stuff, which people also do. So they wait to delay and then they burn off the cord. And there's also the tying method as well. So depending on how many days you want to keep it or how long you want to delay it for, research, look into it, see which one resonates with you. Some people dry it, the placenta, and have it as like capsules through the day and stuff. Many people offer that service, or use a dehydrator to do it, etc. Some people blend it. So then some people do placenta like imprinting of like, so there's so many different ways to do it, and it's just having fun with how you're doing it, I guess. So like had fun, like, yeah. So